It's a magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number.
What does it all mean?
Hello and welcome to Flintoff Savage and the Ping Pong Guy. That's me, Matthew Syed. Some great topics this week. Arsene Wenger, should he stay or should he go? How off-piste have you gone for money and fashion sense in sport? I reckon Garth Crooks might crop up at some point.
Come on, Garth!
As always, a big thank you to everyone who's got in touch through the week using the hashtag FredSavSide. Do suggest topics for future podcasts. But before we get going, let's do what we always do and find out what we've been up to over the past week. Fred?
It's been one of them weeks, hasn't it, this week? Obviously, events of what happened at the MEN Arena Monday night, waking up to that.
Yeah.
You know, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. The wife woke me up. She was on the internet and was telling it. And so many emotions go through your head, from disbelief to anger to sadness. And I was in Manchester all day Tuesday. I had a few things on. And you just catch yourself hearing people speak or talking about it. And it was one of them days where I kept welling up talking about it, because you see these things happen all around the world and you think that's terrible. But when it happens on your own doorstep, it's completely different.
Yeah. And
it changes the way you look at things and the way you live. I went to the vigil on the Tuesday night and stood there with all the people, listened to it all. And it was moving, but then at the end of it, just felt like I couldn't move. I had to get home. I was just like rooted to the spot and just couldn't move. It's been an emotional week, and I think the way in which people live their lives now changes a little bit. You start to think, everyone says you've got to carry on doing all the stuff you do, but you do think about it.
That was felt in Stockholm as well. I was in Stockholm, Matthew, for the Europa League final, Manchester United against Ajax. And, before the game, the United fans were very subdued. And, even, it was one of the most difficult commentaries I think myself, Mark Chapman, Phil Neville had to do. Because you don't really want to be there because of the awful events that happened. You're in a final, you're there, it's a game of football, but the reality is that 22 people lost their lives in Manchester and you're reporting on a football game. So it was very difficult. I just wanted to be home with the kids. And, for anybody who's not heard Mark Chapman's speech before the commentary, it's absolutely unbelievable. Powerful. It was on 5 Live, powerful. So it was very difficult, but I was delighted that Manchester United won the trophy, and credit to Manchester City as well, that put a tweet out. Football brings people together. Man City's, the football club's tweet was, a City united, and City was in blue and United was in red. And I thought that was a lovely, lovely gesture from Manchester City.
You mentioned, Fred, that our lives are going to change as a consequence of this. I went on Wednesday to Roland Garros in Paris to interview Alexander Zverev. He's a top young tennis player. Taxi dropped me off at the gate to the venue, to the stadium, but I had to walk half a mile to go through 2 security checks in order to get in. Took about an hour. Then when I left, they'd erected new steel barricades around the stadium, understandably, for sure. Had to walk another half mile to get to the road. And this is, it's a shame that sport, which does bring people together, it's something that we can celebrate, is now surrounded by the infrastructure of barricades and surveillance, but you just have to put up with it.
But it's any gathering of people now. You look at what happened.
Concerts.
Ariana Grande concert, which you think, you know what, come on. And then I went to the concert on Saturday night, and the kids before we went were talking about it. Even my kids were telling, you want to get there early, you want to come back late, wait till everyone's gone. And that's how my children are thinking. When I dropped them off at school on the Tuesday morning, I didn't want to let them go. You hang on to them for that little bit longer. You say you love them again and again and again. But yeah, I think one of the things which has hit home for me, especially being at the concert at Old Trafford for the Cortinas, is our police and everyone.
Amazing people.
Amazing.
Unbelievable nurses, all the medical NHS. Unbelievable. I think the way in which they look after us and they carry on. We've spoken on this show about money and what people earn and footballers and sport. And these guys don't earn anywhere near that, but they're the ones on the ground keeping us all safe.
And we record this podcast in Salford Quays, outskirts of Manchester. You guys live in and around Manchester. A real sense of unity off the back of this, a coming together and a strength that goes beyond anything you could ever find in these nihilistic, fanatical ideologies. Topic number 1. Arsene Wenger of Arsenal, should he stay or should he go? We're expecting a big decision this week. He's had an extraordinary track record as manager of Arsenal, 3 Premier League titles, 7 FA Cups now. But a lot of Arsenal fans, not the majority I don't think, but a critical mass, think that the time has run its course. Robbie, you've written about this, you've debated it. This is my topic, but let's start with your opinion.
I want your opinion first, your topic. What do you think? You lead it. It's your
Okay,
topic.
I'll lead it then. So I think Wenger, an innovative manager. When he came into English football, he transformed training methods. He turned up the temperature on the team bus so that the players could keep their muscles
He's groundbreaking, this fella. He's groundbreaking. He's turned the heating
He's like
up.
Einstein.
Lads, we're not having it on 22 today, lads. We've got a big game. Let's rev it up to 26. Who's with me?
He turned the heating up on the bus.
He said that, didn't he, in one of his early interviews? He said you need the heating up on the team bus because it keeps the muscles supple. I was only using that as one example, but he did a lot of different things. Transformed.
Good start.
What else did he do? He put radiators in at the training ground. Oh, come on. What else has he done?
We got the training pitch at Arsenal the same dimensions as the one that was used in the stadium, osteopaths, changed the recruitment and the scouting network, nutrition came in a cutting-edge way for the first time in English football, and I think he's
at the art. I tell you what, he's wasted at Arsenal. He should be at NASA, this fella. He's wasted. I mean, he turned the heating up on the bus. No wonder they've not won, though.
But, okay, that was probably not the best example to use, but I do think it's probably fair to say, Robbie, you know, right, when Wenger came in, football was in the dark ages to a large extent, and he has revolutionised the use of science in order to get people to train and perform at the highest level. But my fear...
I can't believe you started. You turned the heating up on the buses. That's unbelievable.
You won't be asked back by Richard Branston here. Richard, your trains are too cold. Your trains are too cold. Come on, Matthew. Bloody hell.
Okay, so just to finish the point off, though, I think he has, since coming in and innovating...
Did he get DAB as well? Come on, lads, we've got DAB radio now. We'll win it next year. Hey, but no number 2s in toilet. Not on the bus.
Okay, but having said all of that, I don't think he has innovated very much since arriving on these shores. So he's been doing the same thing in the same way for many, many years, and I think he finds it difficult to adapt to the way that other managers are doing things, the way the other teams are setting up tactically. I think he struggled with that. I also think he doesn't have enough internal dissent. Ferguson hired some tough assistant managers through the years, people who could challenge him. Ferguson again, yeah. Wenger, don't think he gets enough internal challenge. He is absolutely omnipotent in the club. So I think that... he's a great manager, but I think he needs to reevaluate where he's at, and I think they should keep him on if he's prepared to do things differently and accept some internal dissent.
Well, I'm with you to the point where he was innovative. What's the word? Innovative. What's the word?
Innovative.
That's the one.
Come on.
Innovative. What is it?
Use your initiative.
He uses initiative when he comes up to these shows.
And he innovates.
Yeah, innovate. And his side, Matthew, the Invincible side, was one of the greatest teams I think we've ever seen. And when I played for Leicester City, we always used to go to Highbury and we get hammered.
Of course, you played against the Invincibles, didn't you?
Yeah. What a team, Matthew.
I forget you play sometimes. I
touch the ball now and again,
Yeah.
So he was at the forefront, and for me, in his early stages of his Arsenal career, when he was winning Premier League titles, I think he was up there with Ferguson.
Yep.
I really do. I think as a great manager. But in recent times, obviously no Premier League victories for a number of years. Yeah. The FA Cup has been great. And before the start of every season, you're thinking it's going to be the same old Arsenal. Top 4 finish, last 16 of Champions League, might nick a FA Cup. And this year, when I believe they wouldn't finish in the top 4 for the first time in 16 or 17 years, no Champions League football, I thought this could be the season with his contract coming towards an end. this could be the time for him to go. We've seen aeroplanes flying with banners over stadiums, which I think is a disgrace.
Yep.
And I've seen him when he fell over at a train station. He was getting mocked by newspapers. I've seen fans when I think they played Stoke, and I think they got beat at Stoke, and they were getting a train. I think it was a Virgin train, Matthew, back to London, and the fans were absolutely hammering him.
Yeah.
And people forget his age. You know, he's what is he, Matthew? 69, 70, is he? Or 68. He's 68.
68?
He's 68. The longevity he's had is brilliant. And I honestly thought, Matthew, with how it was...
67.
67. So, Matthew, obviously, he's 67, I think. And
Who's just told you that? Who's just told you that?
leave that in.
It'd be 69 by the time you finish the story. Come on, carry on. Carry on.
So the point I'm trying to make, Matthew, is I was one of these people, and on 606 and in my newspaper columns, I try and look at the better side of managers, because I'm not one of these people that wants people sacked all the time, because I think that's wrong. But not finishing the top four, I thought this will be the season he goes, because people were starting to... Hatred was starting to form. We've seen Arsenal Fan TV and some of the idiots who go on there.
Well, your mate Piers Morgan has been one of the strongest campaigners.
But when you listen to Piers Morgan, though, you've got to say he has some valid points.
Yeah.
And I think Piers Morgan, people say, why can Piers talk? He's a celebrity fan. But I tell you what, Piers loves Arsenal.
Yeah.
I think he's got season tickets.
Got shares in the club.
Shares. So he's got every right to express his opinion.
Yeah.
And he's been on a few shows I've done. And when you listen to him, he makes complete and utter sense. Right? And I've seen managers now, so Klopp went at Liverpool. Mm-hmm. Has Klopp done better than Wenger at Arsenal in the last couple of seasons?
Yep.
Has Guardiola done better than Wenger at Man City than Wenger's done at Arsenal? Has Mourinho this season done better than Wenger? United finished 6th, Arsenal finished 5th. Mm-hmm. United won 2 trophies, Arsenal won 1. Mm-hmm. And I seen there was video footage of Wenger in the tunnel at half-time, geeing up his players, and he got a massive, massive response. So I think, Fred, I was one of these people who thought he's got to go now, end the contract, go out on a high. But I honestly believe he should now stay. I really do, because I'm looking at the managers out there and thinking, who could come in and
That's the issue, isn't it?
That's the issue.
Do you know football managers? It makes me laugh at me, because I sit and watch it. And like, you'll have a manager, and he gets sacked from a club because he's not good. Next minute, he'll get another club.
Yeah.
And then he'll get another club. It's like a merry-go-round. If you get on that treadmill of managing, you might have to go to a few different clubs, but you've got a good 10 years in, haven't you?
Yeah.
Hey, how does it work, Rob? Why do they keep taking these same people?
Well, I think it's a very good point, because if somebody gets sacked and a job comes up, straight away there's a list of 10 people who are the same.
A bit of due diligence and think, hang on a minute, he got sacked from that job. Why do we want him?
But don't you think fans have to take some responsibility for the fact that the managers get sacked? Because a manager gets 3 or 4, 5 bad results. I mean, Wenger, he got the fans on his back this year, but often it happens before that, doesn't it?
Matthew, do you think it was a disgrace the way he's been treated as a man?
I think that it's absolutely valid for fans to critique a manager. If they genuinely think that manager isn't good enough for the club,
fine,
they have
I
the
agree.
right to express that opinion. It's up to the board of directors to decide whether they want to act on that advice. And I'm with Fred, absolutely, that boards pull the trigger way too fast. You get this ludicrous soap opera of managers going from club to club. In a funny kind of a way, though, I think that's part of what we love about football.
Yeah, but
the manager is like the guillotine is hanging over him the whole time, and that's kind of part of the fun. He could go at any moment. He's either a hero or a villain. No, it isn't, but I think that's part of what people I think it's part of the soap opera of football. But just coming back to the fact, I can totally see why Wenger is angry that the fans, when Arsenal were playing, were expressing their anger with him, and that there was a hostile ambience at the stadium. That isn't a good atmosphere to the players to play.
It's become a bit of a joke and a phenomenon now, isn't it, that Wenger out signs all over the world. They'll turn up at the WWE.
So why are you in or out for Wenger?
After the weekend, and what I've seen that man go through this season, I think if he I'm with you. If he changes and brings in a strong people alongside him, and he goes and spends X amount of millions of pounds, but the thing is, can they attract the same amount of players? Not in the Champions League, that's a big thing. Yeah. And because what's thrown at him is, has he got too much power at Arsenal? He spends the money like it's his own. Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of and is it a business arsehole where Champions League football is that his target every year?
I like him, mate.
I like him, Fred.
He looks like Dorothy from the Golden Girls. The Golden Girls.
Yeah.
He looks like Dorothy.
Yeah.
So look,
I know. I've never thought of that before.
well, he does.
Just need the big blonde wig, right?
But also as well with him, I quite like the fact that
You can listen to more of our discussion on Arsene Wenger, should he stay or go, by downloading the podcast in all the usual places. But next, we moved on to this. How far off-piste have you gone in order to earn a paycheck? This one, is it yours, Robbie?
It is, Matthew. It is.
so what you mean? What you
I
mean?
don't know,
in that?
really. I was just thinking in the week, Fred, because I was thinking it's the playoff final today. It's a playoff final today. That it's the most lucrative game in football. Huddersfield against Reading. The winners go up to the Premier League, which could be worth £100 million to a football club.
Yep.
The players' wages would probably go up massively, and the pressure on them today to perform. And I was just thinking, we have been so fortunate in our careers. So fortunate to be in a stage where now you get offered stuff, from brands, from promotions, from X, Y, and Z. It just got me thinking, what have I done or what have we done to earn a few quid, thinking, do you know what? I shouldn't really be doing this, or I feel a bit awkward doing this.
Have you had some really unconventional offers?
Matthew, meet Robbie. Robbie, Matthew. What do you mean? Has he everything he does?
Well, one of the ones I'd done was for an underpants company, and that's why I started going to the gym, because
To be an underpant model?
well,
How long ago was this?
So basically, it was not long after Strictly. So I've done a few things. Not long after Strictly, I done a.
You stood next to a bed with a bird, weren't you?
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. So basically,
But that went down well at home.
oh no, it didn't, at all. I done that, and I was standing by the bed, and the lady, the model, was lying on the bed.
No way.
Yeah, in all lovely lingerie, and I had to like pause over her, like
You have your hand in your pocket.
with my trousers, my shirt undone, the bow tie
Yeah.
sexily drooped around me, and my trousers like
Hang on. A bow tie was sexually drooped around
you know, they wear it and they but it's undone basically.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
like-
It's an undone bow
That's what
tie.
I meant.
Yeah.
I was just trying to set the scene, Fred.
Sorry.
Yeah, and my trousers were like low enough so you could see the branding of the underpants. And I would have to stare like gazingly into this model's eyes, like
No way.
And then there's another one where I was standing up and she was like ripping my shirt off. And it was like, and I'd done that for a few quid. It wasn't me at all. And
What was it like? So this was all lit up.
oh,
and you
no,
had
in a big
fashion
country,
designers.
in a big country house.
Wow.
In a big country
You
house.
get nervous.
Oh, massively
What
nervous.
was you thinking?
I was just thinking, because not being funny. I'm not funny, but when you're there and you're seeing a lady in lingerie lying on the bed,
Yeah.
and there's cameras everywhere, but I was just thinking, I don't know what I was thinking.
About the cameras. That's a nice camera.
No, because I was just thinking, just relax.
What about you, Fred? What's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done for money?
Do you know, I did the jungle,
Yes.
and I said I'd never do the jungle. I think I've said it on here before.
The Australian one.
Yeah, easiest.
And you won it.
Easiest money in my life. I did that. Do you know the one things which you do a lot of, and I've had a bit of a. Do you know the corporate dues?
Yeah.
I don't know what I think about them, because you turn up and then they pay you a fee, and it's almost like they own you for them hours you're there.
Was this before or after drink?
It was easier when I was drinking. You just turn up and come home. Don't care. Can't remember. But I did one.
Well, I can imagine you'd be very good at this.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all right. Whether I'm worth what they give me, I'm not sure. But I did one, and I've been doing this tour around the country, theatre tour, doing all these different dates. I did the first date at Preston Guildhall, and it went really well. Mm-hmm. So I'd agreed to do a corporate the night after, and it was at Lord's Cricket Ground for Bridgestone tyres.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, I've had a good do here at Preston. It's easy, this. I'm just going to get up, tell a few tales, and it'll be fine. There's 50 people, and I've got up, and I've realised very quickly there is no crossover between what I do and bridges and tyres. There's nothing. I thought I tried to be funny. I told a story how I got changed. I went in the dressing rooms, true story, and I had a bath, and a tour group came through as I was in the bath. And people, I told them that, but I get the same reaction you're giving me. Nothing.
no.
Nothing.
Silence.
Yeah, nothing. So I think, oh my word. So I told a few of my bankers, I'm thinking these are them. Nothing. And then I started questioning myself, thinking, am I telling these right? Did I tell that right? And then, do you know when you get hot, and then the hotter you get, oh, you just get worried, and then you can feel it coming down the back of your neck, dripping down. So then I tried to be sincere. Nothing. Then I tried to be factual. Nothing. And it was the longest 40 minutes. And in the end, I just said, you know what? Has anybody got a question? Not one question from the tyre people. Nothing. So I just sat down and I thought, you know what? Grin and bank it. Grin and bank it.
I don't know how you two can do that, stand in front of hundreds of people and speak.
I would sooner be stood at the front talking than in the crowd of people.
I can't do that. I cannot
Robbie,
stand.
hang on. You...
Yeah.
When you broadcast, there can be hundreds of thousands, potentially millions listening, and you don't. I mean, I've watched you here. You don't seem to get nervous. You're very confident.
I am confident.
But you would find it difficult to stand in front of a group.
There's three of us in the room. There's a camera here. There's a couple of people behind the glass, which is fine. I'm in my comfort zone with people I know, people I trust, and people I like. Standing in front of 200 people on a stage speaking, no, I couldn't do it.
I'd sooner be up there and sat.
Really? I've done it a couple of times, and it went wrong for me. I was at the Daily Mirror Awards. Lloyd Embley, who's the editor, sat on his table. Great guy, friend of mine now, and I was presenting one of the awards. And I remember, I can't remember, it was Best Regional Paper, because the Daily Mirror have like the
MEN, don't they?
Have they got the MEN, have they? They've got regional papers around Britain.
Yeah.
So it was the regional awards, and I was presenting the best regional award. Mm-hmm. So I've got on the stage, and it was like third. And the winner is.
Yeah.
So I've opened the envelope, and I thought I'll have a bit of fun here.
Oh, never do that.
Mate,
Never do that.
I swear it's so true. I've gone third place is blah blah blah. Second place is blah blah blah. And then I remember, because before the awards, this table from Newcastle, I think it was, stood up, and everybody was clapping them, and everybody thought they were going to win.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've gone, and the winner is, and I've said that table.
Yeah.
Anyway, they've all cheered, they've all stood up, and as I've gone to read the winner, I've looked up and I've gone, I was only joking, and the guy was on the stage.
Oh no!
He was on the stage. I've looked at the editor of the Daily Mirror, and he's got his head in his hands, and I thought, what do I do? It's true. So I've read out the winner to have a laugh and a joke.
Warren Beatty, you, aren't you?
I've gone, it's not you.
Hey, Warren Beatty
there.
at the Oscars.
Oh, mate, he's there. So I said, listen, I'm sorry, it's not you. And everybody started booing.
Booing you?
Booing me, yeah. Seriously.
At least you know how to react to that, don't you?
I'm standing there, and I've had to read the original winner out. That never got a cheer then, because people were saying about him. And I thought, oh my, I'm going to lose my job here. I'm going to lose my job. But what I'd done after that, I thought, what can I do to make up for that? I thought, what can I do? Oh my dear, just thinking about it now is horrendous. And what I'd done was, out of the goodness of my heart, and I thought, I've messed up the port.
That's not the goodness of your heart, really, is it? You're backtracking.
So basically,
the goodness of your heart would have been a selfless act. This is not a selfless act. This is you. You're in a bit of trouble. You're worried that your Daily Mirror column's going to come to an end because the editor's got his head in his hands. You've announced the wrong person, thinking, I'm going to have a bit of fun, unquote. So, Robbie, don't start giving it that. Just tell us what you did to get yourself out of what can only be described as a bit of a pickle.
So basically what I've done, I'm very fortunate to know a few people and have some very good friends, and one person happened to have a house abroad. So what I'd done was I gave the guy a quick ring and said, listen, man, I'm in a massive pickle here.
And out of the goodness of my heart, could you give him?
So basically I give the guy a week's holiday abroad in a nice house with flights included for messing up. So
but you guys have done interesting and unusual things for money, and you've been embarrassed doing a speech and Robbie at an award ceremony. You must have turned down some weird stuff.
Oh,
What was that thing you phoned me up with?
it was for Radio 1, wasn't it?
I didn't know you obviously as well as I did now, but I thought I was doing you a favour.
What was it for?
I got a phone call from Robbie, or a text or something, saying, Fred, can you do me a massive, massive favour? I need you to do me a...
Guys, thank you. And thank you for listening. You can download the podcast